So, Black Phone 2 is a 2025 movie just out this month starring Ethan Hawke and Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz, she's in this movie. That proper looks like her. That little girl is like a spitting image of like a young Rachel Weisz. Anyway, I digress. So, quick plot of the movie. So, several years after escaping from the killer known as the Grabber, teenager Finn Blake struggles to recover. Meanwhile, his younger sister Gwen begins receiving mysterious dream calls from a sinister black phone and sees disturbing visions of three boys being stalked at a winter camp. The siblings travel to the remote alpine lake camp during a fierce blizzard only to discover that the Grabber has grown in power even from death, and that his evil is tied deeply to their family's past. Together, Finn and Gwen must confront this malignant force and attempt to finally put the trauma to rest. So this is a non-spoiler review, and it's just myself on this because I went to see this. My co-reviewer, The Core, hasn't seen it, so this one's just me. Hello and welcome back once again to Brand X Review's 13th annual Halloween special. This one I'm just on my own because this is a film that my co-reviewer hasn't been to see, and so and I did talk about the first film back in 2022 when that got released. That was The Black Phone. Obviously this is The Black Phone 2, just got released this month, October. So I wanted to go see, as I do every year, this time of year, whatever latest big scary movie is out, because we've not been too spoilt in recent years, but it's not been too bad because, especially with Blumhouse Productions, because they were doing some of the Halloween movies. So, literally Halloween season, 2018 Halloween, which was kind of not a reboot, but a kind of course correction for that franchise. And we had a few sequels there as well, so that kind of set a bit of a trend in my mind anyway. That when it's Halloween time, it's time to go see a movie that's whatever the latest thing is. Now, The Black Phone 1 got a summer release back in 2022, so that wasn't actually a Halloween film. That year we got Halloween Ends for Halloween time, but that wasn't a very good film. So some years are better than others, basically, that's what I'm saying. So how did this one work out, Black Phone 2? I had a pretty good time with this film, to be honest. I'm not going to give spoilers out in this video. I'm going to keep the details fairly to a minimum, beyond what you might have seen in the trailer, for example. I'm going to assume you've seen the first film as well. So obviously Ethan Hawke is in the first film. He's kind of the big name actor for the first film. Well, he's not in it too much, but the scenes that he is in, he's quite good. He's the villain of the film. He wears a mask through a lot of it as well. And obviously he's worked with Blumhouse before with other things as well, such as The Purge. So it does feel like even though it's not directly connected to a larger franchise, it does kind of feel like it's part of like the whole Halloween, The Purge, Happy Death Day, all those like great films that have come out in recent years. It does feel like it's part of that anyway. And obviously that first film, he was in that. He's in this one again, and it's pretty much the same cast as the first film, which is good because a lot of horror movies, especially in decades gone by, from film to film, they'd do a thing where they'd kind of bring in different cast members, usually often killing off previous cast members that survived the prior films. Again, this is non-spoiler, so I'm not going to say whether or not they did or didn't do that. But I think this film does stand out from the first one in a number of ways. It's got a bit of a broader scope to it. Obviously, the first film, a majority of that film is set in a basement basically, and what isn't set in a basement is set in a very small town that you don't get to see a huge amount of. It's very well done, that first film. It's not groundbreaking, but it's entertaining enough. I've watched it twice, so once in the cinema and then again just before going to see the second film. Whereas this second film is a bit of a broader one. It does feel like it's a slightly bigger budget movie. In that they go into the I think it's the Rocky Mountains, and there's like a place there where there's lots of obviously there's lots of ice. It's a very cold film. That's again what makes it kind of set out from the first one. It's got a very kind of visual style. When you look back at this film. The memories that you'll have for it are all the things where they're on like a giant frozen lake, and there's things under the lake, and there's lots of snow and lots of storms, and they're in barns and all this kind of stuff. It does leave a bit of a lasting impression in that sense compared to the first film, and it does feel a bit more outdoorsy is the word I would probably go for, because that first film is quite claustrophobic, and it's supposed to be as well. Obviously, that's the nature of the thing. The guy's been kept in a basement. Now, obviously, this film is set a few years later. The original film was set in 1978. This film is set pretty much, keeps track of how long it's been since the last film came out. So the two children that were in that film have now grown up a little bit. The little girl that was, I don't know, how old was she in that first film? She was probably about 12, maybe something like that. 11 or 12. Now she's about 16 or 17, maybe 16, I think. And her older brother, so he's kind of in his late teens. He's very late teens, and it does follow the brother a bit less in this film. It's more about the girl. And I think that was a good call. I mean, there's all, you could jump in and say, oh, the usual, you know, like they do with the Marvel movies where they not recast, but they basically prop up all the female characters over the male characters as it once was. I don't get that from this at all. I think that there was a lot of potential with the sister character in that first film. She had the psychic powers and so on. And she's a very good actress as well. For a little kid, like child actors and actresses can be kind of like wooden or annoying or just not have the kind of on screen presence that you get obviously with adult actors. It's difficult for kids, but you do get some that do kind of shine through. And I think the little girl, especially in that first film, was really good. So it did make sense to kind of make this a bit more about her, because we saw quite a lot of what was going on with the brother in the first film, and his story kind of ran its course where there was a lot of stuff to kind of develop with her, with the psychic powers and so on. Obviously, connection to her mother, because there was suggestions in the first film that she got her psychic abilities from her mother, but they didn't really do much more with that. They do more with that in this film. Again, not giving spoilers away, but this film is kind of going over what happened to the mother. Obviously, we know that she died prior to the first movie, but this gets more into that and it develops that a little bit more, and there's some plot twists here and there. Some of it you see coming. I won't say it's not completely predictable, but it was definitely better than a lot of horror movies that come out nowadays. And there was a bit of, it's not even horror as in like gore kind of thing. There was a little, to be fair, actually, no, there was quite a bit of that. I'll correct myself there. But I think a lot more of what happens in this is sort of psychological suspense that's going. There are some cheap, tacky jump scares, as they tend to do a lot of. It's been a thing ever since, it's always been a thing, but it really kind of ramped up when you had films like Final Destination coming out, where that was like a big gimmick of the thing. Like, obviously it was part of the nature of those movies were jump scares, because it's suddenly somebody's alive and then boom, they're dead. Whereas it got overused over time, and given that this is a Scott Derrickson film, as was the director, as was the prior film, he's a good film director. He puts his stamp on things. If you've seen the movies Sinister, again with Ethan Hawke, well, the first one was anyway, that was full of jump scares that they could have done a lot better without them. It would have been, to be fair, it would have been creepier without them. If they'd have done like, if something suddenly like appears on screen, but it's not like a sudden like orchestra sting, kind of thing. If it had just suddenly appeared but there was silence, that would have been like way creepier. That was in Sinister, and obviously this is the same film director, Scott Derrickson. Also directed Doctor Strange, incidentally, from 2016. But he brings a lot of his signature to this. If you've seen, again, the film Sinister, a lot of what happens in that film is you've got the Ethan Hawke character watching film reels, and it'll usually be somebody getting killed or whatever, and it's done from like a point of view. So it's kind of a way of making, like, not doing a found footage film, but incorporating sequences that are found footage that you're watching as he's watching. And it'd have like a weird kind of almost like a Trent Reznor like score, from Nine Inch Nails, like almost like one of his film scores over the top of it. This does exactly the same thing, but it's not somebody watching a film reel, it's the dream sequences. So when the little girl has well, they're not nightmares, they're actually visions, they're psychic visions, but she has to be asleep to have them. When that's happening, it kind of goes into this like found footage style look to it, and it has this, again, same sort of music that you got in the film Sinister when the thing's playing. It sounds like a Trent Reznor score. So it's one of the things, it either works or it doesn't. I liked Sinister 1 and 2. Second one wasn't quite as good. They weren't great. I had a lot of criticism about them, but I still like them, to be fair. Maybe a guilty pleasure. But I've watched them many times, and I'll rewatch them again. I might even watch them this Halloween, to be fair. But this film does that again. So he's getting a little bit tired at this point. I mean, it was anyway, in some ways, the found footage thing. But yeah, they use a lot of tropes that we've seen before, including other elements of this, like I say. And again, I don't consider this too much of a spoiler, but when the little girl is having these psychic visions in her dreams, things that happen in the dream happen to her in the real world. So she gets like a cut during this vision dream. She will be lying there asleep and her arm will get cut. We've seen that before, Nightmare on Elm Street. It was, and it's not just like incidentally it was done before but nobody remembers it. That was like done so memorably. It really does kind of make you think, yeah, this just kind of makes me wish I was watching like the original Nightmare on Elm Street when they do stuff like that. It's like, do something new. So again, I've got a lot of criticisms for this film, but I did enjoy it anyway. Like I say, I enjoyed going to the cinema with a friend. Granted, he fell asleep all the way through the movie. That's not a criticism of the movie. He always falls asleep in the cinema. I don't even know why he buys tickets, but whatever. To me, it's kind of the filling a bit of a trend that, like I say, if you like to go to the cinema at Christmas to watch Christmas movies, or during the summer to watch blockbuster movies or scary movies on Halloween with other people, I mean, or even on your own, to be fair, I prefer to go to cinema with other people, but for the social thing, I would say if you get a chance, give this film try it out. Obviously watch the first film. If you like the first film, do go see this. If you didn't like the first film, don't go see this. It's not that difficult to figure out. That would probably go without saying. In terms of, was this film better or worse than the first film, I prefer this film, to be fair, to the first one. And as I say, I did like the first one. I would give both a 6 out of 10, which sounds like terrible. A lot of people are quite liberal when it comes to giving out film scores, like 10 out of 10 for anything that's even slightly good. 10 out of 10 has to be like The Great Escape or The Godfather or something like that. To me, 6 out of 10, well, 5 out of 10 to me is just saying it's an average film. It's a film. It's not bad. It's just not good. 6 would be, it's a good film, but not great. That's why I would give this a 6 out of 10. So, bit of a ramble there. Difficult to kind of say any more without getting to spoilers, so I'll cut this short. Obviously, this is the 13th annual Halloween special for Brand X Reviews, so we're going to be doing videos every night leading up to Halloween night itself. So we've done some videos prior to this, if you want to go check them out if you haven't seen them, and there will be more videos to come, as I say, every night leading up to Halloween night itself. I'm not going to tell you what videos are going to be, they're just going to drop, as always. So if you want to see what's coming next, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, give this video a like if I didn't annoy you or put you to sleep, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.